Imagine watching a tutorial and switching to a Notes tab to jot something down, and then returning to find your video has restarted to the beginning. This is a seriously annoying issue that'll just make a user wish they were watching their favorite videos somewhere else. Now, if you're using React, this happens because React unmounts components when they're hidden, destroying all of their state in process. When a user returns, React mounts a fresh instance and the video starts from the beginning. React's activity component is one of those new React features I'm surprised you don't hear many developers talking about. The activity component helps us hide and show any component from a parent component in a native way. This bridges the gap between the conditional rendering and styling solutions that you'll have. When you wrap a component in React's activity, you get a simple way to toggle whether it's on screen via the mode prop, visible, or hidden. With mode equal to visible, it behaves like a React fragment component. It's basically just a wrapper that doesn't add anything to the DOM. With mode set to hidden, React hides and sets the display to none. This preserves its state and stops running effects and deprioritizes and re-renders while it's not visible. Now let's check out a few scenarios leading up to using the activity component. And we can start with a more traditional approach. So here's our example app, and we have 3 different scenarios. We have problem number 1, where unmounting resets playback, problem 2, when it's hidden and still playing, and the finished product that you'll see towards the end when we're using the activity component correctly. Now, with the first problem here, the video is playing right now, and if I restart, we can see where the video starts from the beginning. Currently, we're on the video tab, but if I click this activity component button, and I go back to press it again, we're starting the video all the way from the beginning again. This example uses straightforward conditional rendering. There's no activity wrapper, which means the player component gets destroyed and recreated every tab switch that you do. This fails because React's standard lifecycle treats component removal as permanent. Now let's move on to our second example where we're using the activity component, but just in a different way from the finished product. We can actually click a tab and it's going to hide the video player, but continue playing. Basically, now that we have the activity implemented, the player stays mounted when hidden, which preserves the playback position. The activity component sets display to none on hidden content, but doesn't stop JavaScript execution on media playback. This is working because the video element remains in the DOM. So when you return to the video tab, playback continues from exactly where it was. This is purely behavioral. Nothing tells the video to pause when hidden, so just keep that in mind. Now, we could take it up a notch. Let's look at our finished product here that uses useLayoutEffect and pauses the video immediately when the tab is switched. So activity keeps the player mounted, so playback resumes where you left off. So we're here, we'll let it play for a few seconds, and we can keep in mind the time that we're at now. Right, so we're about 7 seconds in. And if we go here to click the activity tab and we view again, we can see that our video was paused and we get to preserve the state. Now let's take a look at the useLayoutEffect that is actually changing the game here. When isVisible is changed from true to false, the effect cleanup function runs and pauses the video before the tab switches. This means that the user clicks to switch the tabs. isVisible changes to false. The effect cleanup runs, pausing the video, and then the tab switches renders, and the user sees the notes tab, and no audio will play. So as we look closer into our finished example here, we can see that we're using our pausing player panel component here as well. And that is using our useLayoutEffect. If we were to use useEffect here, there could be a brief moment where the audio will play from the hidden tab. So this works perfectly because you get the best of both worlds. You can get the state preservation from the activity component, so you get the playback position, the buffering content, and the player settings. And then you also get the controlled playback behavior from the effect hook with no background audio. But that's not it. We can't wrap it up just yet. This player component that I have here is really just a thin wrapper around the Mux player React component that you can install from NPM. Now, we are ref forwarding because it allows the parent component to access the underlying video element and call the method like pause directly. Without this ref, the useLayoutEffect cleanup function couldn't pause the player at all, and you would probably just be better off using useEffect. React's activity component is an absolute game changer for building stateful UIs with complex navigation. By preserving component state across visible changes, it eliminates an entire class of state management headaches. For video streaming apps specifically, combining the activity component with a smart pause and resume logic creates a seamless experience. Users can navigate freely without worrying about losing their place, and developers don't need to build complex state systems. Check out the repo, test it out, and create your own video streaming apps with Mux and React. And see you next time.